So there's a lot of things you can think about when you, just as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
It's not like I'm getting treated differently than anyone else, so I don't take it personally. I just don't understand.
Just because we sign him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year.
Seems like each and every single offseason around this time, I make a video on the Dallas Cowboys doing a horrific job paying one of their top stars. And lo and behold, it's happening once again. Picture this. It's July of 2025. The Philadelphia Eagles just won the Super Bowl and are literally parading their championship through your division. And you're the Dallas Cowboys sitting there with one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL. And you're seriously considering trading him away. But here's where it gets absolutely wild, and stick around because I'm going to show you Jerry Jones quotes that will make you question everything and honestly drives me insane as a Dallas Cowboy fan. Jerry Jones is out here saying stuff like, I'm not the least concerned about having any dangling participles when talking about Micah Parsons' contract. To be honest, I don't even know what a dangling participle is, but I'm pretty sure that's not what you want to hear when your franchise player is looking for a $250 million deal. So today we're diving deep into whether America's team is about to pull off one of the biggest blunders in franchise history, or if they're actually being smart for one. So before we get to the content, I want to apologize for my setup and my lighting. I am currently trying to take a vacation, but unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys aren't letting that happen now, are they? So now that we get all that out of the way, let's start with where we are now in July of 2025, because the situation is already worse than you think. The Cowboys have about $32.1 million in cap space, which sounds like a lot until you realize that's only the 6th most in the NFL. The Patriots have $60 million, the 49ers have $45 million, heck, even the Philadelphia Eagles, who have just won a freaking Super Bowl, have almost as much as $30.8 million. But here's where it gets absolutely spicy, and this is going to blow your mind when you realize how badly they've messed this up. Micah Parsons has been eligible for an extension since after the 2023 season. That's right, and I feel like a broken record when I say this each and every single year, and this is how the Cowboys consistently screw themselves over. But they could have locked up Micah Parsons 2 years ago when the edge rusher market was sitting around $35 million per year. But for some reason, Jerry Jones likes to play hardball and inevitably pay his top players record-setting money. And wait until you hear what Micah Parsons said about this timeline, because it's going to make you understand just how frustrated he is behind the scenes. Micah recently had an interview with The Undertaker. So in the interview with the dead man, he said this: "We wanted to do the contract last year. They were just kind of like, we want to do Dak and CD, then you go out there and perform again and you would think, all right, we'll get it done early. Instead, what happened? Dak Prescott held out until literally hours before week 1 and got $60 million per year, which is without a doubt one of the stupidest contracts in the entire NFL, because there's been multiple quarterbacks that have gotten contract extensions since Dak Prescott, and none of those contracts have come even close to Dak Prescott's contract. CeeDee Lamb missed all of training camp and got $34 million, which was right underneath what the top wide receiver in the NFL, Justin Jefferson, got. And since then, Jamar Chase beat out those contracts, but at the same time, one, Jamar Chase plays for one of the dumbest franchises in the entire NFL, and I'm sorry, Bengals fans, it's true. And we have a separate video on it that I'm going to leave in the end screen so you guys can be caught up on exactly how freaking stupid the Cincinnati Bengals front office is. And now Micah is sitting there watching TJ Watt sign for $41 million per year, thinking, wow, the Cowboys really messed this up, didn't they? But hold on, because I'm about to show you the Cowboys' track record with extensions, and it's going to make you understand why this Parsons situation is following the exact same pattern that's cost them multiple Pro Bowl players and completely takes them out of Super Bowl contention. Let's get one thing straight. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you need to sign your talent ASAP so you can get the best talent on relatively undervalued contracts. My favorite example of this is the Philadelphia Eagles. They signed Jalen Hurts the moment he was eligible for a contract extension, and they continue to follow that formula. They signed Devontae Smith and AJ Brown to extensions last offseason, and with the money they were able to save up through those contract extensions, they were able to afford Saquon Barkley. Now, you might be thinking that this is just a recent thing with the Dallas Cowboys, Cowboys and that maybe we could give Jerry Jones the benefit of the doubt, but folks, this is a pattern that goes back years, and I'm about to show you exactly how much talent this has cost them. Let's go all the way back to 2020. Do you guys remember Byron Jones? The guy was a Pro Bowl corner, an athletic freak that the Cowboys let walk to Miami in 2020. Why? Because they wouldn't pay him market value at $15 million per year. Miami gave him $82.5 million with $40 million guaranteed. This was at the time the biggest guarantee ever for a defensive back. The Cowboys' response was, "We met amicably," which is a cool story, Jerry. Or how about Randy Gregory in 2022? This one's even wilder and shows you exactly how Jerry operates. The Cowboys actually agreed to terms with Gregory. 5 years, $70 million. Deal done, right? Nope. At the last second, the Cowboys added contract language that would let them void money if he got fined by the NFL. Gregory's response was a middle finger and signing with the Denver Broncos for the exact same money. And just this past offseason, the hits kept coming. They lost DeMarcus Lawrence to Seattle after 11 years with the team. And DeMarcus Lawrence said something that really was a punch below the belt to Cowboy fans, but he was kind of right.
You know, Dallas is my home. Made my home there. You know, my family lives there. Forever going to be there, but I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. So
last offseason, they lost Tyron Smith to the Jets. Tony Pollard went to Tennessee. Tyler Biadasz went to Washington. It's like they're running a free agent farm system for the rest of the league. And the reason why this is so frustrating is the Cowboys are actually pretty damn good at drafting talent. And here's what's going to make you absolutely furious as a Cowboy fan. Let me show you how championship teams actually handle their business. Look at how the Chiefs handled their business. When Patrick Mahomes was 24, they gave him a 10-year deal. When George Karlaftis had 1 year left on his rookie deal this past July, they extended him for $93 million. Trey Smith just got $94 million to become the highest paid guard in football. And do you know what Brett Veach said about it? We'll get through this phase here and then have the summer to work with. That's how you keep a dynasty together. The Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls since 2020. The Cowboys haven't won a playoff game on the road since... I don't want to talk about it, guys. Honestly, this video is painful enough for me already. But this video wouldn't be complete without Jerry Jones just saying some absolutely dumb shit. So buckle up because I'm about to show you some really stupid stuff that Jerry Jones has been saying. He does this like each and every offseason. I want you to remember, this is a billionaire who's supposed to be a master negotiator. In a press conference in April, Jerry Jones was asked about the urgency of signing Micah Parsons. His response? I don't view it as urgent at all. Some say using the basis that the earlier you get something done, the cheaper. While the earlier you get something done, a lot of times the more mistakes you make. Jerry, my guy. The quarterback market has gone from $35 million to $60 million in 5 years. The edge rusher market just jumped from $35 million to $41 million in 1 year. What mistakes are you avoiding by waiting? The mistake of paying less money? When do the Cowboys end up ever trading their star players? But here's my favorite Jerry Jones quote, and this one's gonna absolutely blow your mind and actually resulted in a wild reaction from Micah Parsons.
Just because we signed him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. We've signed, I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league, and he got knocked out 2/3 of the year, Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of things you can think about when you, just as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
First of all, Micah Parsons missed 4 games last season, not 6. And to be honest, he should have probably been shut down because that Dallas Cowboys defense was paltry even with him. Second of all, what kind of negotiation tactic is this? Hey, Micah, we might not pay you because you might get hurt. That's definitely going to make him want to take a hometown discount, right? And then there's this gem that's going to make you understand just how out of touch Jerry really is about negotiating directly with players instead of agents, saying that the agent is not a factor here or something to worry about, and I don't know his name. Parsons' agent is David Mulugheta, one of the most powerful agents in the NFL. And Parsons immediately tweeted, "David is the best, and I will not be doing any deal without David Mulugheta involved." This is like showing up to a gunfight with a spoon and then bragging that you don't even know what guns are. But here's where it gets really interesting. Let me show you the salary cap situation, because this is where you'll understand why they might actually be thinking about trading him. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where things get really interesting and you'll start to understand the impossible situation that the Cowboys have created for themselves that any fan could have seen from miles away years ago. The Dallas Cowboys created about $57 million in cap space this offseason by restructuring Dak and CD's deals. Sounds great, right? right? Wrong. All they did was kick the can down the road and make their future cap situation even worse. Here's who's eating up their cap in 2025. Dak Prescott post-restructure is a $50.5 million cap hit. Micah Parsons, who's on a 5th-year option, is $21.3 million. Terrence Steele is $18.1 million. CeeDee Lamb is $15.3 million after restructure. Trevon Diggs is $13.9 million. That's 5 players taking up almost half their cap. And here's the kicker. Parsons on his 5th-year option at $21 million is actually a bargain. If they extend him at market value, let's say $42 million per year, his cap hit could actually go up depending on how they structure it. Jerry even admitted this back in March, saying it is absolutely non-essential to have a deal with Micah as far as structuring our salary cap over the next year or two. Translation, we don't need to extend him to save cap space, so why rush? And this brings us to the elephant in the room that I teased at the beginning, why trading Parsons might actually make sense from a cold business perspective. Back in December, Ian Rappaport reported that the Cowboys hadn't ruled out trading Parsons. Stephen Jones quickly denied it, texting, "We love Micah" to reporters, but let's think about this logically. If you're the Cowboys, you're looking at a $42 million per year price tag, already having $120 million tied up in Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Coming off of a 7-10 season where you didn't make the playoffs, watching the Eagles dominate with a more balanced roster, and by the way, the runner-up in the NFC is also in your division, and they got significantly better over the offseason. Maybe, just maybe, you start thinking about what you could get for Parsons in a trade. 2 first-round picks? 3? A young quarterback on a rookie deal? Although, I'm gonna be honest, you don't typically see that very often. Here's what's crazy. Parsons himself seems to get it. When asked about the trade rumors, he said, "I understand how that business side goes. There are no hard feelings in this business, whether I'm here or anywhere else." And Mike has been loyal to the Dallas Cowboys all the way since February of 2024, saying this:
It's extremely special. I said the other day, I love Cowboys Nation. I'm extremely grateful to still be a Cowboy, and I hope I'm a Cowboy for life.
And then more recently in a live stream, he said this in December.
Like I said, y'all know I'm going to be a Cowboys for life. We're going to figure out a way for me to be a Cowboy for life. You know, Jay and Steven see it that way too, so.
Well, when you see what Micah's been actually saying behind the scenes, it's going to show you how frustrated he really is. Don't get me wrong, Micah Parsons showed up to Dallas Cowboys training camp, and fans seem to have been a little bit more optimistic, but then you realize all he really did was hold a tackling dummy the whole time, and didn't necessarily participate that much. Mind you, this is a pursuit drill, so it's something that Micah Parsons should be heavily involved in.
Micah, how would you characterize how close you are to getting something done?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll just see how long things take, you know.
Discouraged by the fact that it's taken this long?
Honestly, yeah. When you go around the league and you see these other teams taking care of their best guys, I see TJ got taken care of, Max got taken care of, Miles got taken care of, and he got 2 years left on his deal. So it's hard to, yeah, you see a lot of people around the league getting taken care of. You just, you know, wish you had something like, you know, that same type of energy, you know. I wouldn't say it's hard not to take it personally when you know how there's a chain of events of something consistently happening over the course of years when you kind of see it before through other players and things. So you don't take you don't take it personally when you're like, all right, it's not like I'm getting treated differently than anyone else, you know. So I don't take it personally. I just don't understand.
Let's be real. Parsons is handling this like a pro publicly, but you can tell he's frustrated if you read between the lines. Parsons has been dropping hints on his podcast, and in July he told The Undertaker that, "I just never understand when guys come into the league and they're consistent and they perform well, why they got such a urge, but then there's guys that just have 1 good year, maybe 2 good years, and they get it right away." He's talking about guys like Brian Burns getting $28.2 million from the Giants, or Danielle Hunter getting a $35.6 million extension from the Texans. Meanwhile, Parsons has been a first-team All-Pro twice, led the league in pressures, and is arguably the best defensive player in football. At his football camp this summer, he kept it simple. "I'm just going to get mine no matter what. The markets change every year. The salary cap went up like another 18% this year." That's a man who knows his worth, and he should. Myles Garrett is making $40 million. TJ Watt is making $41 million. Nick Bosa is at $34 million. If Parsons hits the open market, he's looking at potentially $45 million. But here's the most telling quote from Parsons in July. They're making it more complicated than it has to be. When your franchise player is saying that publicly, you know there are some serious issues behind the scenes. Now let me paint you two scenarios for how this could play out, and honestly both of them are quite wild. The first scenario is the Cowboys keep Parsons. They've got Dak at $60 million, CD at $34 million, and Parsons at probably $42 to $45 million. That's $140 million per year for 3 players. For context, the salary cap is $279.2 million. Half your cap on 3 players is insane. But you know what? You've got a quarterback who threw for 4,500 yards when he was healthy. You have one of the best receivers in football and one of the best pass rushers in football. You add in George Pickens, who they just traded for. Pray to God that Brian Schottenheimer is the next coming of Sean McVay, a healthy Trevon Diggs, and maybe this team can win 3rd place in the NFC East. The second scenario is the Cowboys trade Parsons, and I honestly can't see this happening because the Cowboys never trade high-end talent, and I honestly wouldn't blame them for doing this. You probably get 2 first-round picks, maybe a player, and $42 million in cap space to spread around. You can sign 2 good pass rushers for that money, maybe grab a top corner in free agency, build some depth, be more like the Eagles who just won it all without paying any defender more than $25 million. But here's the thing, when's the last time the Cowboys won a trade? Was it the Amari Cooper trade with the Oakland Raiders? Because if you take a look at their recent trades, they were all very questionable. The Jonathan Mingo trade didn't make a lot of sense this past year. The Trey Lance trade was a gigantic failure. I mean, the George Pickens trade is already slightly concerning given the Pittsburgh Steelers' history of trading their top receiver. I mean, I guess you could say the Amari Cooper trade was a success, and obviously the Herschel Walker trade is the biggest robbery in NFL history. But when's the last time the Cowboys nailed free agency? They're bringing back Dante Fowler Jr. for $8 million after he had 10.5 sacks in Washington. So I guess that's their idea of a big move. Here's my prediction, and I hope I'm wrong because I'm a Cowboy fan and I actually like watching Parsons play, but the Cowboys are going to drag this out through training camp. Parsons will hold in, showing up but not practicing. Jerry will make more weird comments about dangling participles and injury concerns, and eventually, probably right before week 1, they'll cave and give Parsons something like 4 years, $170 million with $110 million guaranteed. It'll reset the edge rusher market. Jerry will act like he got a bargain. Cowboys fans will be relieved. But here's the thing, by waiting, they'll have paid an extra $7 to $10 million per year. That's the difference between keeping or losing another quality starter. And that's the Cowboys way. Or plot twist, they actually trade him. Can you imagine Parsons in a Patriots uniform with $60 million in cap space to build around him? Or in Detroit next to Aiden Hutchinson? Or heaven forbid in Philadelphia? Look, I get it. Paying one defender $42 million is absolutely insane. But you know what else is insane? Having a generational talent and letting him walk because you're too stubborn to admit the market has changed. But let me know in the comment section down below, how do you guys think this is going to shake out? I like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.